change makers in Africa. And today we have a very interesting character. I would like to say it that way. A very interesting character on the show, Judicaelle Irakoze. Have I said your name right?
You try it. You try
it. Please say it for us. Hello, Judy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, please tell us your name precisely so that we can also know how to say it in the right way.
My name is Judicaelle, so you can say Judicaelle and then Irakoze.
Irakoze. Tell us about your current profession. What are you doing right now? Like, what is it that motivates you right now?
Okay, those are two different questions. You're asking me what I'm doing right now and what motivates me. I am a research consultant, so I do research work. And currently I'm working on two projects. One is on the shrinking of civic space in 23 countries by Plan International. And then I run my own nonprofit organization, Choose Yourself, which works in almost 7 African countries. And then what motivates me is that the world is so messed up and there's so much more we have to do to really make the world free and dignified for everybody.
Interesting. Why is that something so desirable for you, for the world to become a free and fair place of the many things?
Why isn't that for you? I mean, that I don't know, because I feel like it's part of being human, realizing that the world is fair for some, the world is unfair for others, and that the injustice that some are facing sometimes are rooted for privileges that I have or don't have. So it's important to me. I've always been like that. I've always been motivated by social issues. I've always been someone who is concerned by the world around her. So it's better for me to always work toward making sure that the environment, the world I'm part of, is just and equitable for everybody.
Okay, great. Could you please mention for us a few impact highlights that you've had, or rather your work has had in Africa? Yes.
Oh my God, this is hard. You're asking me to brag about myself. Oh God. But
it's a good thing.
Okay. So I think my work has shaped many young women voices on the continent. It's something that I have seen, especially when it comes to embracing feminism or being able to talk about women's daily patriarchal violence that they go through. So I feel like my voice has shaped that. And I'm so grateful. I get so many young women who tell me how I have inspired them, how I have pushed them to speak their truth, stand in their truth. I love it. I think another impact that I have had is connecting African struggles. I'm a Pan-African, so which means I am a citizen of Africa. I connect struggles all over the continent. I make sure I am well informed on what's happening, but also it's my work. That's the work that I do. So yeah, I have shaped when it comes to exposing a lot of African struggles that are happening on the continent. Yeah, and some other cool stuff that I have done.
Okay, that's pretty cool. You in your bio, you call yourself an Afro-political feminist, right?
Yes.
Please just break that down for us, for our viewers.
Afro means African, and then political. So I'm a feminist, but my feminism is rooted in my Africanism, and then it's political. In terms of my feminist work evolved around current political affairs on the African continent. So my feminism and the work that I do centers African women, either on the continent or in the diaspora. This is what it means to me to be an Afro-political feminist. There is a political component to the work that I do that I carry with me every single day.
Amazing. How exactly are you empowering others to emulate your work? How would you say you're doing that?
That's a good question. I think the people that I can claim that I'm empowering are the people that I work under my leadership. Yeah, those are the people I can easily claim, because the people who get inspired from far, I can't claim them because I don't get to see the growth. But I've witnessed a lot of growth and change to the people under my leadership, under my organization, or any project that I get to lead. I always make sure that young people realize that they have the power to create and imagine the Africa that they want. And the African continent is young, literally super young. And it's time we talk about relocating and giving the power, giving the support, and also allowing young people to take up the leadership needed. So I do that. I do that in every project that I lead. I let African young people take up the leadership with me. I also let them realize that they can do anything they decided to do for the continent, as long as they believe in themselves and also believe that there is a whole community believing in what they can do.
Amazing stuff. You've been very vocal on the patriarchy, not only online but even offline. Please tell us more about that. It sounds very what's the word, very unique to you also.
You said I've been very vocal
about the patriarchy, both in Africa and better yet the world and developmental circles. Why is that? And hello, hello, Judicaelle.
I wasn't hearing you. Can you repeat the question?
Sorry, I repeat again. You are very vocal, both online and offline, about the patriarchy, even within the developmental circles. Why is that quite the matter for you?
About patriarchy. I'm a woman.
Yes.
I'm a woman. Wow, I'm a woman. My entire life has been shaped by patriarchy, the cultural norms, institutionalized violence, all of it. So I'm very much vocal because it's rooted in my survival as a woman. And also, let's be honest. I'm a young African woman who is doing a career that not many women take. It's not every young African woman that dares to be loud and do development political work. You know that. It's not every young woman. So it means that every single day I have to face forces that reminds me, shouldn't you be married? I mean, who's gonna marry you if you are loud and vocal about development work? You know, all those type of things happens on a constant basis. So for me, I try every single day as I can to identify the forces that stop me. But also because patriarchy is collective, patriarchy stands in the way of many women, many girls on the African continent, even outside the African continent. So yeah, I'm very vocal about patriarchy because I am trying to break free, but I'm also trying to break free with other sisters and also because patriarchy doesn't only affect women, it affects all genders. You know, patriarchy creates a world where men are emotionally unavailable, a world where male violence is still related. So this is like a danger to every human.
Let me actually read a comment here from Lee Cook. He says from calling in from Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, how are you doing, my sister? That's to you. He says hi. And then also, great. Also, I would like to ask you, Judicaelle, please tell us your story in regard to your journey trying to overcome the patriarchy, be it in terms of putting you down, be it in terms of closing opportunities for you, be it in terms of telling you why aren't you married, and etc. Just tell us your background on that. I know it's a lot, but please try give us something about that.
I mean, I was born in a family of only girls. And then we have only one boy who's our brother. So I remember growing up how you could see the education and difference between what my sisters and I were getting to what my brother was getting. And my parents are educated, very aware of gender equality, but the way they were even educate us, it wasn't even intentional, but it's how cultural it was, you know, to educate girls a little bit different from how they educate, you know, boys. And I am the firstborn, but the expectations that were on me and my sisters weren't that hard on my brother. So I grew up in that context. And also, I grew up very much aware of patriarchal difference. I don't remember a time where I was a young girl and I wasn't questioning a lot of expectations that were put on girls. So I was someone who would ask so many questions. And I remember once my granddad had died, and then we went to the ceremony in the village, and then there was a ceremony where it was only men that were allowed to go. And then my dad said he's taking my brother. But in that ceremony, it was only firstborns were also welcomed. But since the firstborn, his firstborn was a woman, so he took my younger brother. I cried that day. I didn't know. I cannot say for sure that I cried because of the gender inequality, or that I cried because I also wanted to go, on a personal level. But I cried. I was like, this is unfair. Why can I go? You understand? Or the idea, we have something called umushinganai in my culture, which is an identity attributed to men. Someone who applauds all these, very well values that uplift the community. While a woman who called umupasoni, which means someone who died silent. Like they would rather die than tell the truth to shame themselves. You understand what I'm trying to say? So all of those. So I grew up questioning that, but then my teenage years and getting into the word and realizing, oh my God, it doesn't matter if you're in Burundi, because I migrated to the US when I was young. It doesn't matter if you're in Burundi or in the US or whatever. There is all type of expectations that are put on girls and young women. So when I started being vocal about my experiences as a young woman, I went through a lot of, hate, a lot of backlash. Like, don't you have shame to be talking that much as a woman? Like, why does she have an opinion about everything? Blah, 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 blah. I still go through that today, but I feel like over the years, things have gotten better. You understand? I feel like the more I affirmed my presence, the more I refused to shrink, the more I took my power and claimed it, the more I said, this is who I am as a woman. I have to speak. It's my responsibility to speak. Then nobody took that power away from me. Even though it made them uncomfortable, the moment I refused to back down, it's the moment I win. So I feel like it's important for young women to practice having their opinion, to practice being loud, to practice being able to articulate their experiences, to practice saying, this is what I believe in, this is what I think, and this is my opinion, and my opinion matters.
Amazing. And to this end, it's why you have an organization that you're an executive director of?
Yes.
Please tell us about that organization, including the name.
So I founded Choose Yourself. It was in 2017. So I had started working with UN Women and UN ASER. We're doing some projects in the camps. And then I realized that I wanted to do so much more outside of these institutions. So I said, how about I create an organization that actually offers young women to be part of the change for themselves. So I started Choose Yourself. It's been 3 years, but the ride has been amazing because the work we have been able to do as an organization is amazing. I'm not saying this to brag about ourselves, but damn, we have done so well. I'm not lying, we have done so well. Shaped feminist narratives all around the continent. From Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, we offer these young women the language and the space to unpack what it means to be part of the change in their communities. We worked with refugee women, and right now we have an entrepreneurship program for young women entrepreneurs all over the continent because we believe in women accessing economic power as well. So my organization is really trying to create an Africa that works for all, but starting with young African women, because sometimes young women are left behind, vulnerable. And we have this crisis of teen pregnancies, we have this crisis of gender-based violence, we have all these issues that affect girls and young women all over the continent.
Amazing, amazing stuff. So right now you're currently not in Africa, right?
No, I am not. I mean, since the pandemic, I went to be confined in my home in the US.
Okay, okay. But where are you born? Please tell us where you're born and just what you remember about your country while growing
I,
up.
I remember so many things. I was born in Burundi. I was born in a middle class family. Um, my parents were working people, very hard working people. But I remember what I miss about Burundi. It's our Sunday routine. It's our weekend routine, not our Sunday routine. So we had a very clear weekend routine. The weekend is when I got to see both of my parents home. Because both my parents were working people. So during the
Yes,
week,
yes.
only got to see them at night, literally at 7 p.m. Sometimes I'll be already sleeping. So on weekends, we all would sleep in. Every single one, even the workers at home will sleep in. Then we will wake up like around 9 or 10. We'll have breakfast together. We will sit on the big, because I grew up in a big family. So I always had cousins, aunties, or whatever home. So we'll sit on the big table, all of us. We would laugh, catch up about the week. Every single person will bring a story. What fascinated me about my family is that moment, nobody was a kid or a parent, whatever. We all were just having fun. Because I remember my dad would be telling us jokes. We would also tell him jokes. You're just free. So I miss that. I miss our big table. And the funniest part is I had a big table at my place. So I could sit on it and think about my family, because I would miss them. And the only thing that would remind that tradition was the big table. Another thing that I miss was our Sunday tradition. So Sunday, we would go out, the entire family. So we decided, well, we go either a family visit or at the beach, or even go at the church together. So I miss doing things with my family. We were all doing things together at once. We all, even when we had a movie to watch, it was our movie, all of us together. So I miss that. Then, but growing up in Burundi was growing up in a very unstable political situation. My childhood is me waking up in the middle of the night because we had to run. So there was so much of a political. I grew up in so many gunshots that it took me a long time for me to get used to fireworks here. Because my first year here, listening to fireworks, I was running. Every time I would hear fireworks, I would start packing, because that was my life in Burundi. Gunshots, we had an emergency bag ready. So we hear gunshots, we jump into the car, we run. So we go somewhere safe. And I remember being at school, and then somebody was bombing next to the school. Now kids were so desperate. We had to run. Everybody had to run. And I remember losing my classmates that day. It's just those things, that stay with us. And that is PTSD that many Africans live with, and we don't even realize. So we then now, because Burundi is still in a political crisis, and I was realizing that my sisters were going through what I went through. So a whole generational thing. My parents grew up in a country so politically unstable. I grew up in a country so politically unstable. So are my kids, if they go live in Burundi, going to grow up in a politically unstable country? So is that the inheritance that are we offering to our kids? Is that the generational trauma are we giving to each other? Political
Interesting.
instability. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's very heartfelt. I hear you loud and clear. But for many people who don't know what Africa is and how Africa is, what can you tell them about Africa? Because being African and assuming that you've also just been to many countries in Africa, you know the situation in our continent. You know the good and bad about our continent. What can you tell majority of people, be it Africans in the diaspora or Africans themselves still here? What can you actually tell them to actually embrace their Africanness?
Two things. When I started working on the African continent, I had to divest from the idea that Africa is a country, but approach Africa as a continent with different countries, so I can get the context of each country. But now, because I'm a Pan-African, Africa is a country to me, which means I connect African countries. In each part of Africa I go, I try to look on the common grounds of every part. So Africa is a beautiful continent. We are very beautiful people. And for me, Africans are people who have been trying to survive in a world literally built on their exploitation. Let's talk about it. Our continent has suffered from slavery, has suffered from colonization. When we talk about it today, we are told that we are bringing the past. But the past has not left us. The Africa we have today is a consequence of what happened years ago. So if we are not able to face that today, to realize, oh my God, all these countries have had all these problems because of these colonial borders. Look at the xenophobia in South Africa. It's coming from what? From colonial borders. The white people in Europe sat in this big chateau and decided, let's divide Africa. So we have to be honest with ourselves in being able to identify the state of our continent today. Our continent today is also full of bad leadership. Literally, leaders who do not love the people. Leaders who are so greedy. Leaders who will promise you the sun and the moon, that the moment they get into power, they abuse power. So there is that, the dynamics of power, that are also rooted in everybody wanting to collect what they want and then leave the masses suffering. So the continent right now needs a global awakening. Like every Afro-descendant has to be concerned on what's happening on the continent. We have to free Africa. We have to create an Africa accessible to everybody, starting with Africans. But that isn't my work only, to be honest. And I hate it when people want to make this my work. No, it's every African work. Like every single, I shouldn't be the one concerned about the status of our continent. Every single African should be concerned. We all should dream of an Africa without youth unemployment. We all should dream of an Africa without gender-based violence. We all should live in Africa where sexual identities are free and liberated. It's every single African responsibility. And this starts in our homes. And to be honest, we cannot start this if we do not hold our elected officials accountable. I don't know, but Africans, we don't like accountability. You elected someone, like that person is in office for you. So you should be able to hold them accountable. Listen, this is the bare minimum. Literally, you voted for them. When they were running for office, they promised you a lot of things. You remember that. So you should be able to say, my president, this is what you promised us. It's been 2 years. How far? You understand? That should be able to happen. We shouldn't. They are not gods. Our elected leaders are not gods. No, our elected leaders are on our services. And every African should be able to hold them accountable. I think another thing that I would love to see from the global diaspora is solidarity. We do not have solidarity among us, and it's dangerous. People who are separated it's dangerous for us. So I would love to learn from each other's struggle. Learn about what's happening in Nigeria, learn about what's happening in Kenya, learn about what's happening in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Uganda. Let's be people who are connected, who are so rooted in each other, because the people who liberated us from colonialism had this solidarity. They were able to do it because they were learning from each other. You understand? Guinea was learning from what was working in Zimbabwe. Sankara was learning from what was happening in Morocco or whatever. So we have to be connected. It's important. And more than ever now, we need a global solidarity of African descendant. It's an emergency.
Amazing. Amazing word. You actually mentioned Nigeria while at it. So maybe what I would like to ask is, in regard to NSA's campaign and just what's going on there, what do you think about it, and how do you think Africans should actually get their voice into this?
When I saw that the NSA's campaign was trending, I was literally happy, because the first time I saw the NSA's campaign was like 3 or 4 years ago. Like there were people sharing their stories, adding the hashtag NSA's. But it didn't get the momentum, but at least I started seeing that police brutality in Nigeria was a thing. But police brutality isn't only a thing in Nigeria, to be honest. Kenya has a crazy police brutality. Burundi has a crazy police brutality. Literally, police brutality is all over the continent. And we know why. We know why, because police is a colonial instrument. The police of the African continent was created by colonial masters who wanted to police the colonized, you understand? And then when they left the same structure, the same institution that then got to be a tool for the bourgeois, for the ruling class. So the police isn't structured for the masses. The police is structured to actually harm and abuse the masses. But also, I think another dangerous thing is that the police people aren't paid enough, so they're hungry. You understand? So the only way they're making money is by actually harming and abusing the masses, because the government isn't paying them. So you see all those dynamics that are contributing. So Nigerian youth have shown us for the past week and the past 2 weeks that actually it is possible to say enough has been enough. I'm just happy that they reached the place where they said, you know what, we have suffered. Now we are taking into the street. But also I loved how their movement doesn't have any face. Because a movement with a face creates the danger for the face of the movement. You understand? It means that the one up front gets to be the one to suffer the consequences. But in Nigeria, they said we do not have a leader. We are the leaders of the movement. Everybody is in the street for themselves. I loved it. Because when you are in the street for yourself, you are fighting for your life. So we need to divest from wanting to have movements with leaders. No, we need to create African movements where every person said, I am in the street protesting because my president has not done what he said to do. I'm not doing because this person is my leader. No, I am here for myself, for my kids, for my own life. So this is what I loved. I also loved how organized they are. They are so organized. They know what they want, and they said, we're not leaving the street until SARS is ended. Not until SARS is reformed, no. Until SARS is completely destroyed. And I love it.
Amazing. Well, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. I'm saying that's amazing. That's amazing. What now? Looking at Africa, it's interesting. You've said you're moving away from Africa as a continent into Africa as a country for you. What exactly does that look like? Like, what do you think would be the formation that makes Africa stand at the front, especially in the developmental circles? I think, you know, much development is brought here, but at the end of the day, organizations are reaping crazy from Africa itself. How do you think Africa can actually be at the forefront of leading in change and leading in voice, telling people, you need to stop this nonsense? We are all black, we are all white, but blood is red. Everybody has red blood. So this is how you should go. What do you think about that? And what would be your voice in that?
I don't think I get your question well. You said that what it means to move within Africa as a country.
No. What it means, what is the ideal Africa for you, where it becomes a true voice even in the developmental sector?
An ideal Africa for me is an Africa free from imperialism and neocolonialism, which means it's an Africa where the land, because all this imperialism is about the land, you understand? It's an Africa where the land and the resources from the land and the power within the land is in the hands of Africans. And when I say in the hands of Africans, I'm not talking about the ruling class. I'm talking about the masses. You understand?
Completely.
An African who decides to go to South Africa is well treated the same way a white person who is going to South Africa. But now we have a continent where a white person on the African continent is well treated more than an African person on the continent. This is the effect of imperialism. You understand? This is what neocolonialism have done to our continent. So for me, the idea of me moving within Africa as a country is to move beyond the colonial borders and imagine a Pan-African continent, you understand? Because colonial borders were dangerous tools, you understand? They created this idea of nationalism that makes you think that within the borders of the land a white person gives you, this is where you should feel that you belong. No, This is not how our ancestors lived, but this is not also the freedom that we deserve as people. We deserve an Africa where colonial borders means less, where colonial borders are non-existent. And then for me, I feel like to get to an Africa where young people are, where every single African, not only young people, where the continent has a voice within the development, we need to abolish the power imbalance. So we need young people who decide that they have had enough. I don't know if it's going to be my generation, but I trust the generation to come. You know, the 20,000 youngins, they are so radical and bold. I feel like they're tired. You know, no, I feel like they were born carrying all our tiredness. So, because those are the ones who are in the street of Nigeria, to be honest. I saw a video of a 21-year-old telling her president, "You have been a bad boy." I was like, wow. You understand? They are
completely.
They are tired, you know, and I love it. Because the moment you decide that enough has been enough, I'm telling you, you're not going back. So we need to reach that point where Africans, we said, we have put our foot down, we're not taking it unless our continent is free. Then we free our continent.
Amazing. that is very, I like your your graphical nature to that, and that's pretty amazing. Africa is a very interesting place, I must admit. And thank you so much. Your industry, you said you're a consultant, right? Where exactly do you work? Where exactly do you consult, and for whom exactly?
That's a good question. I consult for international agencies. I'm really picky with the project I work on. I'm very picky because of my own politics as well. But I consult with international agencies who are interested in, you know, shifting the power, in reshaping the concept of global philanthropy, you know. But I also do specific work on documenting abuse of, you know, human rights, abuse of women's rights, all those kind of things. So I'm very picky, but also because my consultancy also focuses in shifting the power between the global south and the global north. So I make sure that I do that part, you know. But yeah,
And how has your industry changed during COVID-19? How do you feel it's changed?
It has changed a lot because I had to be in West Africa to do some interviews and surveys and things like that. Then I was stuck here. So now I had to do it online. And because when I'm on the ground, it's easier for me to make sure that I access, you know, even the people who do not have the funds or the tools, you know, to get to me, I get to them. But online, for me to talk to you, had to have internet. So it really becomes so hard for me. It really becomes so hard for me. And even the report I'm working on, I feel like I did not get, you know, the full rawness of what I wanted. Because if I was on the ground, I would have made sure I get to the people. Because this is what I do. I get to the people. I make sure I get to the people. So now the people had to come to me, and it was hard. So COVID-19 really shaped the core of my work in my critical thinking, but also it made me try to think of, oh my God, the inequalities that we have offline also come with us online. Yeah, so we got to abolish inequalities offline so we can have a very easy, better online world.
Great stuff. Please tell us the one book that you've read that has kind of changed your life or shaped you into what you are right now. I know you're quite a reader. I've seen that on Twitter. But which is the one book you can say, this book changed my life?
I would say, let me see. Wow. I'll say Black Feminist Thought by Patricia Hill Collins, or Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. Then I think another book that I read, I was so young, it was an novel by Ousmane Sembène, a Senegalese author. So when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of books from West Africa, Senegalese books. my dad is such a reader, and the only thing we had to do home was read with him. So I grew up with so many books from Senegal. But there's a novel I read. It was a kid, but this novel, I don't remember the name well, but this novel talked about this young boy going to Paris and trying to find his African identity there, and growing up and returning on the continent, all of that. So I sometimes want to think that book shaped me in a way, because there are things that I do and I remember how that story shaped me. Because the story is a young boy trying to decolonize. At the time, I didn't know what decolonization is, but the journey of the boy was him trying to realize, oh my God, I am in this country that has participated in harming my country. So how do I move from here? How do I make sure I sustain my African identity? How do I make sure I don't lose connection to myself? And that is the work that I've been doing on a personal level as well, because I went to school in the States, you understand? And the state can, the state, because of how the state center itself in everything, you can really lose focus from every single thing. So it really pushes me every day. That story of the boy really pushes me every day to decenter myself, and then to try to not lose focus on what comes first for me in my life, which is Africa.
Amen. Please tell me that word again. The book, you told me Sister Outside by Audre Lorde. Which other one did you say?
And then Black Feminist Thoughts. Black Feminist Thought is amazing because it gives you an understanding of race and gender from a Black perspective. And I know many Africans don't love to call themselves Blacks, but you are Black. I'm telling you, every Black person is African, but not every African is Black. You know that, because we have Africans who are not Black, but every Black person is African. So yeah, A Black Feminist Thought is such an amazing book. I think another one that I have read is a book.
You said the Black Feminist Thoughts, sorry to interrupt. Black Feminist Thoughts is by whom?
Patricia Hill Collins.
Patricia Hill Collins, great.
Yeah. There is a book of Mariama Ba. What is it called? The book of Mariama Ba. It's a story. Let me find you the name. I read it so long ago, but let me find you the name because I want everybody to read the book.
Great. We're actually putting them up for our audience.
Yeah, Mariama Ba is also Senegalese. I think I read the book so long ago. I read So Long a Later. That book, I feel like everybody should read it. So Long a Later? Yes, by Mariama Ba.
So Long a Later. Great.
Yes.
Then, oh, sorry, continue. It's okay.
So there's So Long a Later. There is another one that I know it's hard to find, but if you can find it, it's called La Vida Awa Keita. It talks about the liberation movement in Mali, but also gives you a context of what happens in Mali. It's a very hard book to find. I found it in a library in Ivory Coast, but it's amazing. Oh gosh, I have so many books that I changed my life.
It's okay. You've given us quite a number, actually. There's some homework to do. And because this will also be is live, you can also please add some books later. Feel free to add them at any point within the comments. So it's okay. Then let's go to your music. Favorite type of music, and which music also changed your life? Growing up music.
Favorite type of music. Beyonce. I love Beyonce. I tell people how much I love Beyonce, and they don't even realize it. But Beyonce is my life. I grew up as a nerd kid. You understand? So my life was school and library. But Beyonce was that thing different of how my life was. You understand? So Beyonce was like that out of box thing about me. So I loved Beyonce. And when nobody will be home, me and my little sister will put Beyonce. So we'll go and rent CDs, because at that time we didn't have YouTube, so we'll rent CDs.
Yep.
You remember a time where we used to go rent CDs about everything?
Oh,
so,
yes, definitely, including video cassettes.
Yes. So, oh my God, I miss Africa. I know it's a. So
I just hope people don't know how old we are.
So that time so my sister and I used to put aside our lunch money so we can have money to go rent all this video, CDs or whatever, and then we will bring it home, and then we would learn how to dance about, Beyonce's song. And then one random day, my dad walked on us. We weren't expecting him because it wasn't his usual time to be home. So my sister and I have just got this last concert of Beyonce. We are so learning the dances. My dad walked in. He stayed quietly stood at the door. My sister and I are having fun. We are dancing. At some point, we realized he's there, and then we shut down. It's like, no, continue. So later that night, he asked us what was that, and then because my sister and I have like 4 years difference, so she was a kid at that time. She was just like, oh no, I was just dancing with Judicaelle. I had to explain to my dad that I loved Beyonce, blah blah blah. And then my dad was like, okay, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And I told him, I want to be Beyonce dancer. Can you imagine your father looking at you right in the eye, so disappointed? Literally, but I could see that in his eyes, he's so disappointed. Because he was like, what? I educated you. You are this brilliant kid. Because I don't think I'm brilliant now like I was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was so brilliant. Sometimes I'm like, where did that go? I want to have that back, because when I was a kid, I knew so much things for my age. I was always reading. That was my life. So my dad was just so disappointed. I feel like he felt like his life just, evaporated. He's like, a dancer? Not even, I want to be a doctor or whatever. You just want to be a dancer. So he got mad at me.
But for Beyonce,
my dad didn't even know who Beyonce was. So for him was like, first of all, who is Beyonce? Second of all, a dancer. But yeah, over the years, he saw that thing of me loving Beyonce was something, that so particular about me. So I remember one day he would tell me, okay, if you succeed in school, I'm gonna give you money to go get Beyonce CDs. And I will hustle because I know it's gonna get money to get. So he literally encouraged me. And sometimes he makes joke and say, I learned about Beyonce before everybody knew about Beyonce because my daughter, pushed me to learn about her. But yeah, I've loved Beyonce my entire life. But also I feel like for me, because I love to dance as a kid, that thing of me loving Beyonce as a kid was a way of doing something outside of what my parents expected. And I feel like every kid should have that, My parents expected me to be this nerd kid. Of course, I was a nerd kid, and then to be that. But then I wanted to be something else because I can be all of it. You understand? So because my parents gave me a space to be all of it, I'm someone who is a lot of things at once. And sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. You understand? Because they're like, so
completely.
No, I cannot pick one thing. I love to dance. I can do this. I can do that. I am multidimensional, and I grew up having a space to be all of that. So I feel like young women should be encouraged and given space to be all of that. Especially when you see that your kid want to try some different things, push them. We need to break free from some of our parents' thought they have to be a specific thing. Break from that and give your kids a room to unpack many other things.
Be anything you want to be.
Yes.
Great. Last but not least, is your best movie.
My best movie. What is my best movie? That's gonna be hard. Oh, Blacklist. Okay. It's not a movie; it's a show. Blacklist. You know Blacklist?
I know the NBC show.
Yes, Reddington. That show
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's on fire.
I mean, and you know why I love him? Because he's smart. He's smart. I love your
Completely.
blacklist is good.
Great. Thank you so much, Judicaelle. Is that how I say? That's how I should say it.
Yes, this was fun.
Um,
I don't remember the last time I had an interview where they asked me about my music, my video. I should do this more often. I should do this because not every day people should ask me about my politics, you know. I wanna be talk about what I love to eat, my music.
it's okay.
But
You're human.
even though my best music is Beyonce, now I am more of an Afro. I listen to all of Afro music. Literally, yes, from Nigeria to South Africa to Rwanda, Congo. Yeah, I love it because I feel like the Afro music industry has so much grown, so we are killing it. Yeah.
Great. So, last word from you. What does the word "Let's Create Africa" mean for you?
The word "Let's Create Africa" means that let's dare to invent the future, as Thomas Sankara said. Thomas Sankara said that we must be able to frame our realities in a way that break free from our struggle. So we must dare to invent the future. So that's what Let's Create Africa means to me. The future that we want to see, the Africa that we want to live in, the Africa that we desire. This is the Africa we should be able to create.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure hosting you today. In Kenya, it's evening right now, and today is actually our Shuja's Day. We're celebrating our heroes and the people who actually died to make sure that we gain our independence. Now that you are talking about colonialism, and I hope as we'll continue this conversation again and meet in different circles. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this beautiful show with Judicaelle Irakoze. Remember, you can watch this live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and also live on Twitter. Even after we are done with the show, you'll still find every item on our pages. It's been fun. My name is WaihigaKMuturi, and guys, I mean, have yourself a great Shuja's Day, as we say it in Kenya. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care. God bless. Bye.
Okay, it's not